Hello there, thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We're live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA09925339. Our top stories this hour. Chiefs in the Volta region reach crucial deal with security agencies on how to tackle the revolt by Volta secessionists seeking to break away from Ghana. This afternoon, we are live in the regional capital hall where a news conference is due to take place. Deputy head of our security desk, Emefa Apao, is on that beat for us. Also coming up, a confession by a killer. Police CID reveals blow-by-blow account of how cleaner hacked University of Ghana Professor Yao Bene to death with an iron rod. And this afternoon, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia arrives in the Northeast region where floods have battered several communities, leaving many displaced as rescue efforts continue. Residents are being urged to return to the safe zones following concerns by NADMO they had abandoned the temporary shelter provided for them. I am Gifty Adopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has donated an amount of 10,000 cedis for victims of a flood disaster in the West Mamprusi municipality of the Northeast region. Dr. Bawumia is in the region to commiserate with flood victims in the West Mamprusi area. 3 communities have been affected, leaving a 3-year-old dead and about 700 residents displaced by the floods triggered by torrential rains. The displaced residents were rescued by NADMO and sent to temporary shelters in nearby communities. Joy News correspondent Eliasu Tanko, who has been on the ground since yesterday, reports that the victims have abandoned the shelters and returned to their communities. Here is his update.
The neighborhood of Kukwazuku here, this is a primary school that was designated as a temporary camp for displaced people yesterday, and we know that in 2 communities about 700 people were displaced as a result of the collapse of 2 local dams in the area and weeks of torrential downpour. Now these people, some of them, we understand 70 of them were brought to this particular school facility, and as you can see from the background, their items being packed there. We have some of the items in the veranda. As you can see them, some of the items are also in the classroom. This actually is an uncompleted school building, and this morning we are here. The people themselves are not here. Our understanding is that the people somewhere in the night requested to go back to their flooded communities, and so managers of this facility had no option than to grant their request. As we speak, we can see their items here, but the people themselves are not here. Some of them, we understand, have also moved to relatives, family and friends in this particular community. Others, as we understand, have also moved back to their community. So this morning we can say that yesterday these displaced people were brought here. Unfortunately, they have left the place after they made a request to managers of these facilities to allow them to go back to their communities. Some of the reasons that they gave, as we understand, is that they still have some of their members, their family members left in their community, so they have to go and join them. So you can see the background there, their items, but the people themselves are not here.
Eliasu Tanko brought in that report. The Northeast Region NADMO Director Alhassan John Kweku has been giving us also his update on the damage.
We have in Banawa, we have 13 households that are affected. Then 11 houses are completely collapsed. The number of rooms, we have 46. Keta, we have 19 households that are affected. Total number of persons affected, 215. 26 houses are collapsed, completely collapsed. The number of rooms, 112. Gagbini, 37 households are affected. Total number of persons affected, that's 400. 17 houses are collapsed. 183 rooms are affected. Then Dimia, we have 11 households that are affected. 173 persons affected. Then we have 4 houses being collapsed. Number of rooms, 43. So in all, we have number of households that are affected are 80. Total number of persons involved 938. Number of houses that are collapsed, we have 58. Then number of rooms, that's 384. So not more, like you said, we were here yesterday when the incident happened. Myself and my men with the police were all on the ground. The MCE was there. We had to help the people to evacuate them to a safer place. Even we identified a place in Walewale and then Diani, that's one of the schools where some of them slept. And those who slept on the road, we tried to persuade them to go to the schools there to sleep. They didn't heed to that. And then we prepared food last night. We went around, we distributed the food. We provided them with mosquito net, mosquito coil, blankets, and the distribution is ongoing. Just this morning, we are arranging to bring some relief items to come and then support them again. It's unfortunate we are seeing this, like what the woman has said, because you can't be standing looking at your building being collapsed. So it's just God beneath that the entire community is collapsed. And we've also advised them that, you know, the rooms are mud, they're mud buildings. So we advise them that because the ground is saturated, they should stay away from the houses for now. So we are trying to do our best to see how we can support the affected victims.
Have you been able to get an understanding from them? Because I came from one of the schools. I'm just coming from one of the schools that we designated as a temporary camps in Walewale. And the people, I saw a few of their belongings there, but the people were not there. And the information that I picked is that somewhere in the night they requested to come back to their communities. What is the reason why they refuse, or they are refusing to stay in these places that you have asked them to stay?
Well, I can't tell, because we've done everything possible to make life comfortable for them. Yesterday, myself and the MCE and my men, together with the police, we're just pleading with them because it's a natural disaster. Nobody has control over it. So now that it has happened, let's see how best we can get you to a place that will be safe for you for now, so that we'll see how best we can put up life back to normalcy. But they didn't heed to the call. But some of them heeded to the call. When I was coming, I went to the Diani. Some of them slept there. They were being supplied with food items and then the support that we're having.
Let's get to Eliasu, who is live from the Northeast region, for us to get more on this. Hello, Eliasu. Eliasu, can you hear me?
Hi, Gifty.
Great. So where are the residents at the moment?
Yes, Gifty, I can hear you.
Yes, go ahead and tell us where the residents are. Do you know this?
Well, earlier on, we visited some of the schools that was designated as a temporary camp for these displaced persons. We went to a school around the Kukazu neighborhood. We did not find the victims. We saw only their belongings. But later on, we heard, or we had information that Sambo building and also some schools in the municipal capital itself. Also, in the Banawa community, there is a school there. That is where these people are. Municipal authorities here.
I can see clearly that it is not raining at the moment, but have the rains stopped between yesterday and now?
Well, this morning we have few showers. The rain has stopped now. Yesterday too, there were some few showers all day. This morning, as you can see, the weather is a bit.
This morning, as you can see, the weather is a bit very clear as we speak right now. So since yesterday, only this morning that we have few showers, but as we speak right now, the rain has stopped.
Let's talk about the residents and the victims, those who have been affected by this flooding. How are they coping, and is it safe for them to return to their communities?
Well, it's a very difficult situation for residents here. Unfortunately, some of them refuse to go to these camps that has been designated by the municipal authorities here. We went to the Banawa community this morning and also visited the Gagbini community, which these two communities are hard hit by this latest flood. And they told us that they wasn't sure that the municipal authorities will bring them back to their communities this morning. So when we went, a lot of them slept with some of their relatives in their community. Others too, we saw their belongings along the main Nalirgo-Wale Road, and they told us that that's where they passed the night. And so their reason is that they wanted to sleep in their community so that the early morning they will be able to get to their house, their homes, and try and see if they will be able to salvage some of their properties. It's a very difficult situation for these people. We, in one of the houses that they are sleeping, in one of their relatives' houses, we counted close to 15 people sleeping in one room. And you can imagine these are just small, muddy rooms that we have 15 people in there. So it's a very difficult situation for the people, especially the residents of Gagbini and Banawa.
Well, hang on for me, Ilyasu Tanko. Let's hear Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is today in the region assessing the damage and making some donations himself. Let's listen to him.
I heard about this disaster that has befallen my own people. And because of that, I suspended all campaigning and I have rushed home today to see for myself what has happened. The heavy rainfall has caused a collapse of many buildings. And unfortunately, many of these buildings were built with sand and mud houses, and so the force of the water has resulted in a collapse of many of these buildings, and so you have displaced people. So far we've estimated about 80 households, but there are more who have been affected. So far, for about 4 or so villages, we've counted about 58 collapsed buildings. And so there are many people who have been affected, and they are being temporarily housed in a number of schools. And this is one of the locations where they are being temporarily housed. NADMO has acted quickly, has brought some relief items, including food items, including mattresses, buckets, mosquito coil, and other items, rice and sugar and milk for the sustenance of the people for now. We are also adding 100,000 cedis to them so that the food items that are required will be purchased, more will be purchased. I've asked that at least 500 bags of corn should be purchased to supplement what has already been brought. But by the grace of God, once the rain stops, we will support them to build their houses again. And we pray for the rain to stop, and we hope those houses will be constructed in a better way to withstand future flooding. So this is what brings me here. Thank you very much.
That's Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there. Ilyasu, are you anywhere close to where the Vice President is, and how has his intervention or his visit to the area been received?
Well, very, very well. His intervention has been received very well. The people there was very grateful to the Vice President for that rapid response. I mean, the incident happened only yesterday, and today the Vice President truncated his campaign tour in other parts of the country and rushed to the aid of these people. And so they received it very well. The money was handed over to the municipal chief executive for onward distribution to the victims. But as we speak, these victims are still occupying the school buildings, and we understand that these monies will be distributed to them very soon.
Thank you very much. If there is any other detail that our viewers ought to know, do give it to us. Otherwise, that will be it for me.
Well, as you heard the Vice President say in there, he will be personally supervising what is going to happen in that particular area. He assured the residents that the government would help them fix their broken down structures. And he also promised the people that government would not leave them behind. And his message was well received. The donation was actually done in the community of Banawa, which is some few kilometers from the municipal capital. As we speak, the Vice President is meeting with the municipal authorities, and from there he will get back to Accra.
Thank you very much, Ilyasu. We'll get back to you as and when we should. Ilyasu Tanko is our correspondent there, bringing us up to speed on what's happening. More flooding up north that's cutting communities off and rendering several people, in fact, hundreds of people, homeless. We're still expecting your donation as we prepare. The Up to Us campaign team prepares to go over there next week to help those who have been affected. Now, the Volta Regional House of Chiefs says tremendous progress has been made in terms of security. Government has assured that today marks a turning point in the relationship between itself and the traditional leaders. The Volta people are told that they should be assured that nothing of what happened earlier would happen again. Emefa Apao, my colleague, is in the region to monitor that crucial meeting. She'll bring us live updates. But first, here is a report that she sent from Juapong.
Live from the Abotia Junction, all the way in Juapong. This is Joy News, and of course, you all recall that last week by this time, we were reporting about an act of some group believed to be Volta secessionists, hoping to have a secession from Ghana. 3 groups, we're told, are behind this, security underway. But just for you to refresh your memories, this is the exact spot that this incident happened. They call this area the Abotia Junction, and this is where the tires and all were bent. At this exact spot, we're told that 3 spots where you can see the tires, the big tires on the ground there. And then now, as we speak, security, we're told, has been beefed up. And truly, that has been beefed up. I'll tell you more about it. But just for you to know that this is where exactly things happened. And this is where all the action was last week, Friday. And then subsequently, we're told about that STC bus that was bent in a hole. But we'll get to there shortly, where the Volta Regional House of Chiefs are currently meeting the security chiefs in the country, the Volta caucus, the minority caucus in Parliament, to find the exact way forward. We've already heard from the Western Togoland group, who say that they are not behind this particular attack. But that remains to be seen, since security has been beefed up at this area. As we speak, coming all the way here from the Kmon traditional area where the Ghana Water Company has an office, the Form Police Unit has mounted, vehicles and checkpoints out there. We've seen a number of checkpoints that were put together to ensure that nothing of the sort is repeated. We're told by government that some assurances have been given that none of this will ever happen again. But this is the situation. If you look behind me or ahead of me, you would see that a number of security men, both military and police security, have been put together. And there's a checkpoint at this Abotia Junction to ensure that what we witnessed last Friday does not happen again, and what we saw in Ho does not also happen. So this is the exact spot that things happened. Ties were bent here to prevent people from entering the Volta region. They're saying that it's a secessionist act. But interestingly, we've been here and we've seen residents. You can see Okada riders right behind me. They are sellers, traders around here. But all they say is they will not speak to us. They are all so tight-lipped. It's as safe so to say that they've all been warned not to speak to the media about this situation. But you can see fear in their eyes anytime you speak to them. We've been interacting with them before going on air, and none of them would tell you what exactly it is that happened. One will tell you that they were not around. Others will tell you that they had traveled. Most of them in this area tell you that they were not in town when it happened. It's interesting that they did not see anything at all. So to speak, it's as if that people are afraid just to say anything about what it is that happened. But this is the situation now at Abotia Junction here at Juapong. I should say that at Mpoku on the Adomi Bridge, tight security, military presence right there at the Adomi Bridge at Mpoku, all the way to this point, Abotia Junction, where we are. So that's the situation as we speak.
Emefa Pao, there, my colleague on the security desk, who is monitoring this security meeting ongoing between government and the traditional leaders of the Volta region. Togbe Afede himself is represented in this meeting. The Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwo is represented in this meeting. We have the National Security Minister Albert Kandapah, the Interior Minister, other security chiefs are all represented in this meeting. A press conference is scheduled. It was scheduled for 3 p.m., but of course it hasn't started yet. But Emefa is standing by on the ground to feed us what information she has gathered as we wait for that crucial press conference. Emefa.
I'm sorry, Gifty. I didn't hear the question, but I'm sure you are asking.
Yes, Emefa, do go ahead. I haven't asked a question yet, but I want you to give us what information you have gathered. What we're hearing so far is that this meeting has been successful, but always the devil is in the detail. What have you picked up, and why are both sides referring to this meeting as successful at this point?
So now I can hear you very loud and clear. I apologize for the earlier there. So the issue is that, of course, we've heard from the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. We interacted with them right after that meeting at the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. A high-powered delegation from government represented Interior Minister Ambrose Jerry. We also had, of course, the Minister for Regional Reorganization and Development, Mr. Dan Butche. We had the Volta Regional Minister Archibald Lecha. We had also a number of them. We had Kandapah himself, the National Security Minister, also represented. John Peter Amewu, the Energy Minister, also there. It appears that this is a meeting that government takes seriously. And on the side of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, we had the acting regional president of the Regional House of Chiefs, Togbe Teprehodo. We had the National Chieftaincy, president also being there. The Chieftaincy Minister himself was also there. Kofi Jamesi was also represented. And speaking to the acting president of the Regional House of Chiefs, he says that this is a meeting that gives them an assurance that the relationship between government and the Regional House of Chiefs has seen the next level. This will not be the last, he says. We also interacted with the Awomafia of Yanglong Traditional Council, and he also, Togbe, and he also gives us the impression that this side, in terms of the traditional authorities, they are largely happy with what government told them in terms of, the security situation in the Volta region. And Togbe Teprehodo tells us that from today, the people of the Volta region should be rest assured that what they've seen in the past, in terms of what we witnessed just exactly a week ago, and then Monday dawn, is actually a thing of the past. That's something that will never happen again. I asked when he says that tremendous success, what that means, and he says that listening to the side of the government, because this is a national security chiefs that have been put together, and considering the delegation that was sent there to this meeting, it gives them the assurance that something will be done. But you've heard the critics say that this should have been picked up. This should have been intelligence that would have been picked up by government before it happened. So how then did it not happen that they picked that intelligence before it happened? And he says that they've given them that assurance that it will not happen again, and that's what they should be rest assured, that it will not happen again. So they are saying that, of course, listening to government, there's nothing else they can do but to take government's word for it unless something untoward happens again. So where we stand now, that's the situation. And we are waiting for the press briefing from both sides. You know that meeting was a closed-door meeting. Of course, we got wind of certain details from there, but the chiefs will not, confirm that to us. But amongst others, we picked up information from that meeting that going forward, the chiefs will have their own investigative body, for instance, but we need funding from government to be able to make sure that going forward, they will also pick intelligence and help the security, because they are on the ground. These are their people, their subjects. So whatever it is that they plan, they ought to pick it up before they implement. I also asked a question about whether going forward, the issues about security analysts saying that government should be able to engage some of these people. There should be dialogue going forward to understand what exactly they want. The chiefs tell us that that is not their place. They are hoping that this is a matter that government, you've heard the president and the vice president describe these people as criminals. So we don't know whether they would want to engage them. But asking whether they've reached out to the chiefs themselves, they are yet to confirm that to us. They tell us that they don't They've not reached out to them yet. But once they do, they would want to hear from them as well and know what exactly their concerns are and see how they can address it going forward. So that's where we are right now. Then we can hear the details from the press conference once it happens, Gifty.
Emefa Apau there. Emefa, thank you so much for those details. And as you can see in Emefa's video, right behind her is a stage that is well set, ready for that press conference. You can see behind Emefa right there, it looks like tables, chairs, everything arranged. And so we'll be here to find out. I mean, as and when it happens, we'll take you live to that particular meeting. Emefa Apau, my colleague on the security desk
Mr.
there.
himself, Mr. Kandapau, on this, because the chiefs have been asking as to why they did not pick up that intelligence. Flags were hoisted, billboards were raised overnight, trips of sand were put in the middle of the road. How is it that nobody picked up these intelligence? That remains to be seen. We're hoping that these are the questions that will come up at this press conference, and then we'll get the details, Gifty.
Emefa, thank you so much for that, Emefa Apau there. We'll get back to that press conference. We want to find out why this should convince anybody that lives in this area that they are safe, why they should be rest assured that government is doing what it should so that all of us are safe. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty Andopia. We're going to take a very quick break. When we return, we're still talking about crime. We'll tell you more about Professor Bennett's murder case. Some fresh details are emerging from police investigations. New leads being uncovered. We'll tell you more when we return from this break. Welcome back to the show. I want to take you back to Ho, where Emefa Apau has been speaking with Kujatua Blakwa, Member of Parliament for North Tong, on the outcome of their closed-door meeting.
Right now at the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. Well, we know that after this particular closed-door meeting with the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, you are supposed to be meeting the security chiefs as well and the Volta Regional Minister. Is that still happening?
Well, we have come to convey a change in arrangement. We have communicated to the Honorable Regional Minister that since a national team has been set up, it's important that we all acknowledge that this is a national threat. It's not just a Volta region issue. And if you look at the original Western Togoland map, it involves multiple regions. And we do know that these secessionists have been to other regions, have been to see other chiefs, and they are determined to, as it were, foment trouble in many other parts of our country. So the national leadership of our party has decided that this matter should be discussed at the national level. So you have the national chairman in that committee. We have our former national security coordinator, Lieutenant Colonel Bevlolate, in that committee. We have the former Speaker of Parliament, Doa Jaho. We have Asasi Jima and other national security couples who have considerable expertise in these matters, together with the national party leadership. And this has the blessing of our flag bearer and leader of the party, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So that is the new arrangement which we have communicated to the regional minister. We had earlier informed the national security minister, though we were yet to get his response before we had to come today to convey this new arrangement, that we will now discuss this matter at the national level. It should not be treated as just a Volta region matter. So that's the decision of the national leadership of our party, which we have conveyed to the regional minister. So we are now standing in readiness for the government security officials to indicate when they will be ready. If they tell us that they are ready to meet the national committee that has been set up by our flag bearer, we are ready today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, whenever they communicate their readiness, we already stand in readiness to meet them. So that's the new arrangement which we've communicated to the regional minister.
Okay, so in that communication, how did they receive that latest arrangement from your side?
The regional minister received it in good faith. He agrees with us that this is a national threat, and Western Togoland secessionist agenda is not just a Volta region issue. It's a matter that can destabilize the entire country and multiple regions, as you do know. And even the sub-region, ECOWAS must also be taking interest in this matter, because other countries, present-day Togo, Ivory Coast, Benin, and all of that can be affected by this. So it's a grave threat, and at least in Ghana, it should be dealt with nationally. It should be seen as a national threat, and we remain committed to the Ghana Unitary Project.
MFA Apao there speaking to the voter caucus, who, by the way, were not a part of that meeting between government and traditional leaders of the Volta region. They decided to opt out, and you heard MFA there with what they will do on their part. While in a related development, the chiefs of Fodome, Bledi, and Bli, traditional areas in the Hokwe municipality, have distanced themselves from the activities of the Volta secessionists. The chiefs labeled the acts as treason and a dent on the image of the Volta region, which they say is known for peace and coherence, and express their readiness to cooperate with government and the security agencies to deal with individuals perpetuating that secession agenda. They have been addressing the media in whole.
Omankrado of Fodome Agbesia, Togbe Digrigi I addressed the media on behalf of the Fodome Paramount Chief, Togbe Gang Bedegbeleme Akpacha II.
I wish to reassure the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the entire Ghanaian citizenry that no portion of Fodome traditional area will be allowed to be used for any subversive activities against the state. The people of Fodome traditional area and I will cooperate fully with the government and its security agencies in arresting such defiant for the peace and sanity to prevail in the Fodome, in the Volta region, but in particular in Ghana at large.
The Paramount Chief of Bledi, Togbegan Homatekpo II, assured of his area's commitment to supporting the government to combat the secessionists.
Hearing the unfortunate incidents for the first time in the early hours of Friday, 25th of September, and the subsequent and most recent event of arson at the SCC bus terminal in Ho made us feel very uncomfortable and unsafe in the hands of a rebelled and terrorist group, despite the distance from which they operated. Bledi, as a traditional area in the Hokwe municipality of the Volta region, would like to reaffirm our call of being part and will forever remain part of the sovereign state of Ghana. We further solemnly pledge our commitment and loyalty to the government of Ghana, our preparedness to combat the illogical and absurd attacks of the so-called secessionist group.
The warlord of the village traditional area, Togbe Sonyi III, urged the government to swiftly deal with the secessionists.
It is our hope that the authorities will take the appropriate step to deal with those involved in this criminal act in order to safeguard the peace and unity of our beloved country, Ghana. The Bli traditional area wishes to reaffirm its support for the unity and sanctity of the sovereign state of Ghana. Accordingly, Bli, as a traditional area, wishes to send a strong word of caution to elements of this group that their activities will not be tolerated anywhere in the Bli traditional area.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
And we're still monitoring that press conference that's set to occur this afternoon. But away from this story, fresh details are emerging over the murder of law lecturer Professor Yaw Bene. The Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service says the prime suspect charged with murder has changed his confession and is currently leading the police to the murder weapon. The police is today revisiting the crime scene. Director General of the CID, COP Ken Isaac Yeboah, told journalists at a media briefing that the motive of the suspect, according to him, was to rob, but the professor was killed because he resisted. The Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service says it will not comment on the Volta secessionist attacks because it does not have enough information at the moment. It has, however, picked up new leads in the Professor Bene Meda case. Police says a major development has taken place as the prime suspect has changed his confession, naming new people. The police will have to then revisit the crime scene. At the crime scene, they are looking to find two key things. One, a CPU, which, according to the prime suspect, he dumped in a septic tank, and an iron rod, which they say was used to hit Professor Bene in the head, killing him.
When we visited the crime scene, we found out that his two phones were taken. Then CPU was also taken from his writing table. And then a sum of 450 Ghana cedis, which was in his wallet, was also taken. And I must say that the prime suspect has admitted taking the 450 cedis from the wallet. He has also admitted taking the CPU, which, according to him, he dumped it in septic tank when he was leaving, because he was entertaining fears that maybe there were some cameras which might have captured him, and so he dumped it in the septic tank. So our officers are going there to see whether they will be able to retrieve it.
Now, there will be more information coming on that Meda case as we bring you those details in our subsequent bulletins. Right now, though, let's do a little politics. Nasawase Member of Parliament Muntaka Mubarak says he will do all within his power to ensure the opposition NDC does not lose the parliamentary seats there. The constituency is one of 3 seats that the governing NPP is hoping to win in its stronghold of Ashanti region. The voter registration exercise, as you know, brought up a few issues, but Asokore Mampong MCA Alidu Seidu, who will be contesting for the NPP, says Mr. Mubarak does not deserve to represent the constituency since development has been slow. Nanaya Ojima has been speaking to the constituents and has filed this report.
The Asawase constituency, which has been a safe seat for the National Democratic Congress for many years, is among prioritized seats the New Patriotic Party aims to snatch this year. Regional NPP chairman Bernard Enchibo-Siaku believes the current voter register plays to the party's advantage.
2016.
In Asawase, we lost by 6,000 votes in 2016. With the latest register, the numbers in the polling stations the NDC won have reduced drastically by at least 17,000, and ours have appreciated. This is why I call the election an election of science and data. This situation is same in other constituencies we are seeking to win. Supporters of the NPP in Asawase got divided between Municipal Chief Executive Alidu Seidu and aspirant Manaf Ibrahim, who was denied the opportunity to contest in the NPP parliamentary primaries. But Alidu Seidu says the party is now united to annex the seats.
As I'm speaking with you, Asawase constituency is so much united, very strong as rock, and we are moving steadily in one voice. If you get the incumbent to ask what he's been able to do after 16 uninterrupted years of leadership, he zero and narrow it down to streets. And you can't limit development to tarring of roads. And even with that, if you come to this municipality and for that matter this constituency that we are talking about, there are a lot of areas that have not been attended to at all.
A similar issue occurred in the camp of the NDC when Mubarak Masawood decided to contest the incumbent MP Muntaka Mubarak in the party's primaries. The MP is, however, positive of victory.
They thought that having gotten the opportunity to be the MC, he would have excelled for them to even begin to say, oh, maybe let's give him a try. But the constituency is very, very clear. I mean, you can see not much had been achieved as compared to the resources that came. You remember they said to whom much is given, much is expected. If you look at the amount of resources that have gone into the municipal and you look at the output, definitely you know that he's not a performer.
The constituency dominated by Zongo communities is the heartbeat of the National Democratic Congress in the Ashanti region. But some of their members claim to have defected. Prince Akuta, who once contested an executive position in the NDC, is one of them.
I'm not here to brag, and everyone knows what I can do to the Zongo community. So as far as I defected to NPP now, inshallah, so these seats are going to be for the first time to MPP party.
Go opposition.
At the center of the constituency's most populous town, Asanwase, is this street gathering of youth. A debate of projects executed by the NPP and NDC in the constituency is getting heated here. Zakaria, a staunch supporter of the NPP, explains he is gunning for the NPP's Ali Duseidu due to projects executed under his watch as municipal chief executive.
Over 50 projects. The majority of those projects.
That is the battleground for you. Let me take you live now to Ho, where the press conference between the government and the traditional leaders of the Volta region who met earlier about the security situation there is ongoing. Pius Hajide is the Deputy Information Minister. He's speaking now.
Deployments have been made according to the strategy that the security is using to deal with the unfortunate and criminal events of the 25th and the unfortunate arson and related issues that happened at the STC yard here in Ho. Deployments have so far been made to Juapong, Hohoi, Aplau, Nkonya Alavanyo, Bando, Oti, in Basa in the Oti region, and Ketekrachi also in the Oti region. Let us recall that there have already been deployments in Basa, Ketekrachi, and in Konya Alavanyo, but those have been reviewed to deal with the current threats. So far, 60 suspected criminals have been arrested and 54 have been remanded. The others are being processed for court. It is worthy of note, ladies and gentlemen, that the Volta Regional House of Chiefs once again denounced the criminal activities that were reported recently, i.e. the blocking of roads, burning of tires, and attack on some police stations, 2 police stations in fact. The regional house was unanimous in its condemnation and once again committed itself as custodians of the land to a one united and prosperous Ghana made up of the 16 regions and 204 MMDAs as we currently have. The House and the delegation also agreed that continuous dialogue and collaboration between the government and our chiefs and also with the security forces are crucial in the fight ahead. We thank you for your attention. We also thank you for enduring with us We understand that you have been on the standby since morning for some relevant information, and we hope that we have provided that information. And we thank you. I do not believe that there are any questions, but if there are, we will take a few, and then we can... Alberto, we are advised that this is an ongoing process and not to compromise the operations. The security have advised that those details be kept for now, but rest assured that there are enough men and women, boots on the ground to deal with the threats as have been estimated. Every option is under consideration. Is there a decision made for a curfew at this point? Not that we are aware of. No. No decision has been made about a curfew now. All options remain on the table. Emefa. Do we have another mic so we can hardly hear?
My name is Emefa Paul. I work with Joy News. Thanks for the opportunity. So I'm asking that there are a number of questions, if you indulge me. So first off, the Regional House of Chiefs that you met with today, they mentioned that they had concerns about how you did not pick intelligence on the hoisting of flags, the raising of billboards. It was one of the issues that they had concerns about before you went in there. Did you admit to them that it was a security lapse? And did you assure them that going forward it will not happen again? My second is that they may have been described as hoodlums, criminals, amongst others. But some have also said, including security analysts, that it will be a good time to engage them, to understand what exactly is it. Are you not engaging because you do not know them? But if you know them, who are they? I think you should tell us so we all understand what you're dealing with. And then also to the Volta Regional Minister, I see him here as well, so we can, clarify that. Going around was some news also that you know them and you are a friend of these people. Some of them have said that they know you very well. Should we dismiss it? And why should we dismiss it if that is not true? For now, I would want to leave it there. But the chiefs also, a little bit whispered to us whilst the meeting was going on that they had concerns about some comments and attacks from members of the government and members of the party, the governing NPP, who have described some Voltarians as not being Ghanaians and all. And that these comments are part of the reason why we could be dealing with what we're dealing with now. What assurances did you give, hoping that some of these people will be called to order? Thank you.
Thank you. MFI, I can assure you that all the concerns that were, and suggestions as well, in fact, there were more suggestions than concerns, but the few concerns that were raised by our revered chiefs were all addressed, and I believe it was addressed to their satisfaction. Are we engaging with these individuals who are engaged in criminal activity? The position is that this is a criminal activity that involves arson, blocking of roads, illegal gathering, training in military skills and tactics are all offenses under the laws of the land, and it will be irresponsible for the states to be engaging with criminals. They will be seen and treated as criminals. If any other person has any other concern and wants to engage in a legitimate manner, government is ever ready to engage with anybody who has any concern from any part of the country, doing so within the remits of the law and without engaging in criminality. You asked a comment, you made a comment. I will defer to the regional minister on that one. But you also said that a bird whispered to you from the closed door meeting that was being held between the government delegation and the Regional House of Chiefs. I am unable to comment to or respond to whispers of birds, but let me assure you, MFR, that whatever concern that anybody had during the meeting was adequately addressed. But as a matter of general knowledge, we know that there have been some comments in times past about some comments that some persons within the Volta region have found quite offensive. But let us also recall, even when those comments were made, some were made long before, for instance, this administration assumed power. How come we can now go back into the days of yore and revisit those comments that were made years back as a justification for current day criminal activity? Is a matter that beats the imagination of some of us. But rest assured that any concern that any member of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs had was adequately addressed and to their satisfaction. Regional Minister.
Thank you very much. MFR, you know that I got posted to the Volta region in 1986. So I've been working in the Volta region for 34 years now. And I was in Uraura, Jessica, and posted to Ho in 1989. So 1989 till now is 31 years. So a lot of people, there are only very few people in Ho who don't know me. I've been a practicing doctor here. I have patients who are children who are married now. So I've been here for years. So nobody, it's not surprise anybody if people say they know me, because they will know me. But whether or not I know them as criminals, that is something that you don't know. I mean, you see people, they come to your hospital, they have friends, they come to the shop, they come to the hotel, oh, doctor, oh, you know them. But you don't know what they do at night. You don't know what they do in sickness. You will not know. So if they claim they know me, fine. If they claim I know them, fine. But I don't know, I wouldn't know the criminal activity they are engaged in. So as far as Western Togoland is concerned, it was on 6 March 2017, a few days after we took office, the MPP took office, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo took office, and that was our first independence parade. And they showed up. So they showed up and we were arrested. So I've had to deal with them, together with RESEC and security agencies. We've had to deal with these people since March 2017. How come it is only now that they claim they know me or I know them, or I sponsor them or I'm their financier? So they didn't know from 2017. It's unfortunate, but I am also ready to take action against anybody who comes out openly to accuse me of that. So those people who were shown on V1 TV, would like to know them, and would like the station to come out with the names of the people and where they are, so that I meet them in court. Because this is defamation of somebody's character, and a reputation that have taken years to build cannot just be destroyed by criminals. And I also don't understand the TV station, because things like this should not even be permitted on our radio stations or TV stations. So for a TV station to air a production with the people's backs to the camera and making claims that could not be substantiated and to come out with it, it's also unfortunate. And appropriate action will be taken by my lawyers if I'm so advised. But the other issue is that there was also another video of somebody interviewed. These people, this one that I saw, they were interviewed in the bush. But here there's another one that they were interviewed in the studio, but with the person's face or the head cut off. I haven't seen that yet, but I've been informed that is also in circulation. And I think it's unprofessional for any journalist or any media house to engage in such a conduct, because it is just trying to defame somebody's character, and I read politics into it. I am MPP, And I'm committed to the MPP. I'm committed to the president and the government of Ghana. And if some people find that offensive, I'm sorry. But the fact of the matter is that I have nothing to do with these people. I don't know them. I don't know them. And I think that my integrity will not allow me. I mean, my conscience will not allow me to engage with any group that I know is trying to secede from this country. Because my loyalty and commitment to the Republic of Ghana is 100%. And I cannot join hands with people who engage in fruitless ventures like these people are doing. So MFR, I've also heard that people have called me, people are concerned, some lawyers have even offered their services, but I'm still being advised. So at the appropriate time, you hear the outcome. But I want to clear the air that it is absolutely false. It is just a deliberate, malicious allegation to tarnish my image because I've headed a RESEC that has been after them for 4 years now. But so that is, I think I've answered.
Yeah, thank you very much. And as we are at it, let us put on record, and the government again wishes to strongly advise the media that in these times we must be circumspect in our reportage and report on happenings with a view to keep our country united and with a view to assisting security agencies to root out criminality from within our body politic. Whatever the motivation may be, we think that it is just not right that our conduct as media will seek to give oxygen to the activities of individuals who are clearly engaged in criminality. We thank you for your understanding.
Thank you very much. I'm Faisal Idrisu, GH1 TV. Please, I'd like to know, other than Japon and the other places you mentioned, the other places you mentioned other than Japon, the deployment done there, is it also in relation with the current situation or it has to do with something different? Then again, I want to know if government has a fair idea of the total population of these groups currently, as in how far they have gone with their recruitment.
Thank you. Deployments into Japon, Hohwe, Aflao, Bando are all in reaction to the recent threats, and that is it. There have been ongoing military activity in Nkonya, Alavanyo, Basa, and Ketekrachi, but even those have been reviewed and their numbers increased. The numbers involved are matters that are still under investigation, and we would like for it to remain so for now. When we do make a determination as to the timing to put that information out, you will be advised. At the moment, these are matters that are under investigation. We would not like to compromise the investigations.
Before Mary comes in, we also want to appeal to the radio stations, the call-ins and the comments. You are the moderators. So when people call in and they start making certain comments or remarks that would adversely affect the security of our country, I think we should stop them. We should stop them. We have to control. And those people, I hear some of them, this group, they issue some statements and leave some telephone numbers. And I hear some media houses call them for information. It is illegal. It is illegal. You can be taken on by the police if you engage in interviews with criminals. You may be taken on by the police. So the regional crime officer is there, and we just want to advise that never entertain them. Some have been coming on radio as pastors and quoting scripture and just to foment trouble. So we advise the radio station to also be circumspect with the kind of calls they receive. When the person begins to talk, you know whether he's talking sense or he's talking rubbish. So the person must be.
Thank you very much. Please, let's take the advice. I think that in good faith, it's not an attempt to censure the media. You have to operate within your editorial discretions, but the word of advice is in the national interest, and let's look at it as such.
We have not taken these things very lightly. The GJA National has also issued a caution in recent times. And among ourselves, there have been some dialogue to ensure that we continuously remind ourselves of our responsibility, first of all, to our nation and to the sovereignty of this country and to the citizens of this country. And so we want to assure you that we are not relenting on the efforts to ensure that.
As a live press conference ongoing in Ho, you had the Deputy Information Minister speak, as well as the Volta Regional Minister. MFR Power is still on the ground for us to bring us a report on the highlights. But as you heard, there have been deployment of security across the board. But I won't bore you with all the details. You've heard them already.